Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into the hidden science that runs our daily lives. You know, all those things we do on complete autopilot, from how you tie your shoes to the route you take to work. It's all governed by a powerful, invisible force. All right, to kick things off, let me ask you a question that seems impossible. How could you possibly learn to do something new if you had no ability to remember doing it before? It sounds like a riddle, right? Well, this exact question stumped scientists for years, and it came from a real-life medical mystery. And this was the incredible puzzle of a man named Eugene Pauly. His life became a living paradox that forced us all to rethink what memory and learning even are. His story reveals this hidden engine inside our minds, one that operates completely on autopilot. So, let's meet Eugene. Back in 1992, he was living a normal life until a common virus took a devastatingly uncommon turn and basically changed everything for him and his family. You see, this virus acted like a precise little scalpel inside his brain. It wiped out the part responsible for creating new memories. I mean, he couldn't remember a conversation from one minute to the next. But here's the weird part. New behaviors, new routines were somehow taking root. Every morning, he'd go for a walk around the block and find his way back home, even though, if you asked him, he couldn't point out which house was his. So you can imagine, this just baffled the scientists. I mean, how is this possible? If Eugene can't form any new memories, how is he learning these new routines? The answer, it turns out, wasn't hiding in his conscious mind. It was somewhere else, somewhere deeper and more primitive. And the key to unlocking Eugene's mystery lies in this ancient structure that pretty much acts like the brain's autopilot, a part of his brain the virus never even touched. To figure out how this little powerhouse works, some scientists at MIT did something really clever. They decided to look at the brains of rats as they were learning a new task, in this case, navigating a maze, to see what was actually happening neurologically as a brand new behavior became automatic. The setup was pretty simple. You've got rats in a T-shaped maze, and there's a tasty piece of chocolate at one end. When a loud click sounds, a little gate opens and the rat can start searching. And as the rats ran this maze over and over, something really dramatic started to happen with their brain activity. Now check this out. Just look at these two brain scans. On the left, that's the rat's brain activity on one of its first runs. It's lit up like a Christmas tree, firing on all cylinders, trying to figure things out. But on the right, that's after the route becomes a habit. The brain goes quiet. It's like it's taking a nap, only really firing at the very beginning and the very end. And this, my friends, is a process called chunking. Our brain is, well, lazy. It's an efficiency machine. It loves to save energy. So it takes a whole sequence of actions, like running a maze or backing a car out of the driveway, and it bundles them into one automatic routine. Then it hands control over to the basal ganglia, freeing up your conscious mind to worry about other stuff, like what you're going to listen to on the drive. Okay, so how does this whole chunking thing actually happen? Well, the scientists discovered it follows this incredibly simple repeating pattern, a three-step loop that is at the core of every single habit we have. They identified this elegant little framework that basically governs how all habits, good or bad, are built. And understanding this loop, that's the first step to actually taking control of them. Let's break it down. First, you have the cue. That's the trigger. Then comes the routine, which is the behavior itself. And finally, you get the reward, which tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember this for next time. Think about backing your car out of the driveway. The cue is grabbing your keys. The routine is that whole complex dance of unlocking doors, starting the engine, checking mirrors, all for the reward of being on your way. You do it without thinking. This is exactly how Eugene learned his walk. The cue was his wife telling him it was time, the routine was the walk, and the reward was the fresh air. His basal ganglia stitched it all together, no memory required. And here it is, in all its simple glory. The cue triggers the routine delivers a reward, and that reward reinforces the whole loop, making it even more automatic the next time you see that cue. It is an incredibly powerful, self-perpetuating cycle. So, if the loop is really that simple, why are some habits just so impossible to break? Well, there's a secret ingredient, a kind of fuel for the loop. And it was figured out by a marketing genius about 100 years ago. Get this. Back in the early 1900s, only 7% of Americans used toothpaste. I'm not kidding, dental hygiene was so bad it was considered a national security risk. Trying to sell toothpaste seemed like a terrible business idea. Then along comes this legendary ad man, Claude Hopkins. He was hired to sell Pepsodent toothpaste to a country that just didn't brush its teeth. And he built his whole campaign on two brilliant psychological rules that would literally change the world. Now, tooth film is just this natural coating that's always been there. We all have it. But Hopkins was a genius. He made people aware of it. His ad said, "Run your tongue across your teeth. You'll feel a film." He created a simple, universal cue. And then he offered this incredibly tempting reward: get rid of that ugly film and get a beautiful smile. But here's where Hopkins really struggled. Pepsodent had ingredients like mint oil that created this cool, tingling sensation. Now, that tingle had nothing to do with how clean your teeth were, but people started to associate that feeling with the reward. They began to crave the tingle. Hopkins didn't just sell a product, he manufactured a craving for that clean feeling, and that craving is what poured rocket fuel on the entire habit loop. And did it work? Oh yeah. Just a decade after his campaign started, that number jumped from 7% to 65% of Americans having toothpaste in their homes. He single-handedly created a national ritual. So here's the really powerful part. This isn't just a history lesson about toothpaste. This is a blueprint. The exact same mechanics that got an entire nation to start brushing its teeth can be used to reshape the patterns in our own lives. The big idea here is that once you understand the machinery, once you can see the cue, the routine, and the reward your brain is actually chasing, you gain the power to redesign it. You can swap out the routine, but keep the cue and the reward the same. You can effectively hijack your own habit loop for your own good. So I'll leave you with this. What's a habit loop in your life you'd want to change? By really identifying the cues and the rewards, what really triggers that bad habit, and what craving is it truly satisfying, you can start to consciously reshape the routines you follow every single day. And that, right there, is the real power of habit.